Hi, I'm Sharon Landon, and welcome back to this episode of Old Asian Lady. My guest today is Sandra Fu. She is a very active professional woman and entrepreneur here in Taiwan. Sandra spent several years working abroad in the Middle East and shares her experiences, including racial prejudice towards Asians in that country. She talks about the business challenges and lessons learned running an international company called Graceful Lifestyle Management. She shares her thoughts about work, life, and health balance, and navigating relationships with her family, partner, and her church. Sandra, thanks for coming by. It's been such a long time since I saw you last.
Yes.
Why don't we start off a little bit about your background?
Yeah. I was born in Xindian, so you can say I'm Taiwanese, but I have Chinese grandparents. That's why my Chinese surname is Fu. Fu, right? It's definitely not from Taiwan. I cannot hide.
Oh, interesting. That's like my Chinese name.
Yeah, Fan.
Yeah.
It's not from Taiwan for sure, right?
Yeah. Okay. So actually, you mean you were born in Taiwan, but your grandparents were from mainland
From Jiangsu.
Okay,
From Jiangsu.
China.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very close to Shanghai. Taizhou. Yeah.
And your parents also? Born here?
My parents was born in Taipei, born in Miaoli. So my mother tongue is Hakka.
Oh, so are you able to speak Hakkanese?
Yeah, I can speak. I can understand all, but I cannot speak as fluent as when I was a child. But I still understand 100%. I was very fortunate that my parents led us to stay in a very good public school system in Taiwan. So I think our childhood memory are quite healthy. Because the school has been very westernized, I would say. Even it's a public school, but these two schools has been very famous for studying abroad. So many of my classmates from childhood are actually not here. They are abroad.
Right.
Because the schooling system which I attend was quite open. Not like a very local school, very close-minded. Even though from my friends from childhood, their parents was very surprised I'm back because they were supposed I should be overseas like their kids.
Right. Your parents then, they were born here, you said.
Yes.
So were they like typical, Chinese parents where you had to really study hard and they made you do certain things? Or it seems like you went to a very open school, so it seems like they were quite open about.
Yes. I'm the first child in my family, in my big family from my father's side. So that's why my parents might give me more space for me to make my own decision.
Interesting.
And even my parents nowadays still think I'm very stubborn. They still think I'm not very guai. Because I always like to try my own thing.
Right.
I don't mind to fall down and stand up again. But it's not very like a majority of the people here. They have been overprotected. They has been, I will not say depressed, but if you haven't tried to make your own decision, you never fall down and you never know how to stand up, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a big difference about growing up in the States and then growing up in Asia, because I know when I was working in Shanghai, I mean they're with the one-child policy type of thing, they were even way more protected in a lot of different ways. Your parents must have been really proud of you though to have been able to make it into those schools through applications and things like that.
I am not very sure about how my parents think about me because my parents still are very conservative.
Okay.
But my parents have been changed quite a lot after I moved overseas and came back. They are also learning new things because I always learning something new. And I always like to get off my comfort zone. I like to try something new, always try something new. And my mom is a Hakka. Hakka women are very conservative. And Hakka women think women not necessary to study too much, better to find a good husband, get married, something like that.
Very typical, traditional type of thing.
Yeah.
So when you were younger, though, did you always have this idea that you wanted to travel the world and be outside of Taiwan?
Because my family actually have travel business, so our family started travel when I was 8. It's definitely a blessing for me because I started travel when I was 8. Actually, I would like to travel earlier because my father was always traveling when I was even younger, right? But my mom told me, it was a childhood joke. My mom told me you have to reach weight 20 kilogram to travel because this is the
luggage.
government regulation.
Oh, okay.
Without reach 20 kilogram, kids cannot travel. And I believe this is true.
I know parents say a lot of little things to us that we never know until we're older. What?
Until I really reached 20 kilogram when I was 8 years old. I still remember forever. I have my first travel overseas to Japan.
And so you got the travel bug at that time?
Yeah.
What did you study then when you were younger? Was it always focused on doing something international?
I think I do because my parents give me too much space. Maybe they are not able to really, because my parents work the environment, they are more more focused on customer certification. So personally, I will not say they don't have enough patience, but they might spend so much patience on the customer service part. So they pretty much turn to our personal education as well to see how we like to do, how we feel self-content. And especially, I really have my own idea since I was very, very young, very young. I would still remember when I was 6, my mom would take me to children's clothing shop, okay, 童装店. Like a shop for children, for kids clothing.
Okay.
And my mom would tell me what's the budget today, and you can choose whatever item you like. So I will have idea to choose which item I like, and I will tell my mom this is item I want to buy today. And in many cases, which I like is not like what my mom like, because my mom normally like to see girl wear like a princess, girly, pink, but this is not my style.
Okay.
I will not say I was spoiled, but this style has been also lies. I would say it's also lies me to make my small decision. When I was in junior school, 小学 elementary school, my mom gave me monthly allowance. Not much money, maybe like 300 NT monthly, like 10 NT every day. So I have a small purse. It's like my family tradition because my niece also have a small purse when she is on the same age. So we have to know how to manage our petty cash. Even though when I was little, I need to keep the money for 1 month. I can save, but I cannot use before end of the month.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you that's all you get. You don't get any more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
is that a standard thing for Taiwanese kids to get allowances?
I didn't ask all, but
Yeah.
in my school, yes.
Oh, okay.
Especially because the school I attend is not very close to where I live, because we transfer our registration to another area for study better school, meaning 跨学区. Many family were 跨学区 to let the kids study better school. So when I was 6, I have to walk 30 minutes to school.
Oh,
but at the time, it's very safe.
Right,
no one will
right.
worry about the security. But I don't believe that nowadays the parents will let the kids walk 30 minutes one way to school.
I feel like Taiwan still is pretty safe though compared to a lot of other places. Yeah. But
30 minutes for 6 is
for 6 years old is
quite far.
Yeah, it's quite far.
And it's one way. It's one way.
So you went to school. Your parents really were customer service oriented. Did that impact your own lifestyle or your own study in one way? I mean, what did you end up getting a degree in?
My bachelor was in public finance and taxation,
so money, yeah.
and taxation.
Okay.
So I look like a very social variety and very organized on the club, but at the same time, I think I have a good balance because I need to really stay focused on study taxation. Taxation is law.
Yeah.
And it's very detail-oriented, so I need to memorize and I need to analyze the laws for the taxation. Even my family during the time I started study taxation, I have to do the reporting for my family as well.
Did you enjoy studying taxation and finance and that type of thing?
I think I enjoy this kind of learning. Whatever I was not really doing this in my career and business, but I think it's a good training for myself.
Yeah, I think you went abroad too for a period of time.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. How did that start?
Okay, that's good. After I graduated from my college, I got a government scholarship. So I went to UC Berkeley for my cultural study, and it was very fortunate.
So the scholarship was from Taiwan, from
Taiwan government.
Oh, the Taiwan government gave you a scholarship to go to Berkeley.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the program was for cross-cultural communication and also Americans cross-cultural communication and American culture. But if you were in Berkeley by yourself, Berkeley is a very different places, right? And it's very open. There's a reserve area even for we, that, right? Yeah. So I think it's really broken my another level. Even though I have a lot of travel experience already compared to some other student in my age, but it's really broken my my horizon for the world. I see. That's why I believe the openness on sharing also have another side of self-discipline. And it's not offense each other. You can have the openness, but you can also have self-discipline to know what you can do, what you should not do. You can do that. Why Berkeley has been reserved area for we, but they still create outstanding students. And I would say still top school of U.S.
You said you were there for a year at Berkeley. What was the main thing that you took from that experience?
I took, I think you need to be always positive thinking to learn from whatever environment give you, the classmates or the classes, the people you meet. You should always open your mind and to just receive what the possibility would be. And because Taiwan is an island. Whatever country, I don't care. I say the size is island, right? And Taiwan has been growing as a colony culture. So Taiwan received many countries influencing. So sometimes because you receive too many resources from different strong, powerful countries' influence, sometimes you lose yourself. So I think it's very important to reserve your core values as a base, as a foundation, and alternatively, you can always learn something good from others. But I think the core values, the foundation should be solid.
Yes.
It's not like
that's important.
It's not like shaking. Yeah. You lose your core value. You learn A for 20%, learn from B from 20%, and learn from C for another 20%, and you become nobody. I think the core value should be always fixed there. And the core value for me is a family value. I have a very strong family value. I came from a big family. So family can always hit me or attack me. I would say whatever good or bad, I could very, I could hear from my families maybe not necessary sharing. Sometimes they are not really tend to say something bad, but I might be hurt from my family's unconditional sharing sometimes because I care family too much.
Yeah.
So I'm also learning to find a balance after I'm moving overseas. I have to keep a proper distance with my family members. I keep in touch with them, but not too close. But my parents still are very traditional. When I was overseas for a long time, I came back. And the first 3 months I lived with my parents. My parents were so happy, right? My baby girl is home. But after 3 months, I got a good offer from a British company. So I decided to move out. But actually, it's only 5 minutes walk from my parents' house. And they cried very, very badly. They think, I need to leave them again.
When you went abroad for the very first time, was it difficult for you? Because aside from going to the US, to Berkeley, and you were there for a year, and it's not like it's the first time that you've traveled, because you traveled a lot, but being in the States for that long period of time is different than just going there for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Did you have any issues in California when you were there adjusting?
I don't have much issues there. I like the Bay Area anyway. Bay Area is there are more culture, and there are people there are quite calm. Many technical thinking people as well, more logical thinking, not too emotional, which I like. Compared to because many people in Asia are quite emotional for me. The environment was very simple and it's pure. So I was encouraged to speak out what we think, which is not very encouraging in Taiwan. And especially many people in Taiwan, the traditional parents think I'm not quite right? Yeah. So, but when I was there, I was encouraged to speak out, and I start going the used clothes shop, like the grocery shop. I still went to. I like to wear the leather dress. A lot of hippies there, right? So I went to I started loving the leather jackets, leather skirts, and
really embracing that culture.
I like the culture very well because the environment is really encouraging you to be yourself. As long as you respect others, they will not thinking being yourself is kind of offense others. But in Taiwan, sometimes you are too relaxed, being yourself. Others get offense, even though you have no intent to offense others. But many people get offense. So this is very different culture gap. Even my dad today also told me, in some select environment, you should be more reserved. It's me. I know you like to be yourself, but for showing respect to others, in
you
case
mean like older people, or just
or some people are more traditional, or like local people. Don't talk too much. Listen more. Something like that. Right?
So is it something that's hard for you to do? I mean, you're aware that you have to do it, or you need to do it, but is it difficult for you, or have you been able to adjust yourself, accordingly, or is it?
I think the most difficult part for me to adjust is the point of saltfulness is different. Actually, when I was overseas, majority of people think I'm saltful, I'm caring. But the point of consideration in the communities here, especially local communities, they have a different thought. Close friend will tell me you need to be careful how you speak. Sometimes if you don't be mindful enough and you are too outspoken, and people might catch part of your sharing into
so just basically
wrong place.
It's just basically watch what you say, or just don't say anything. But anyway, so you went from Berkeley. That was your first international experience abroad, and then I mentioned before Dubai. You were in Dubai. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
I went to Dubai during the year of the financial crisis. At the time, there are many Europeans left. So I was fortunate to get an invitation from one of my church friends. The church friend is a French Taiwanese couple family. I was tired for the working environment in Taiwan. I think I should go and try because they have a accommodation like in the apartment, and at least I can have a piece of stay. Yeah. So I went for a visit during the time was before the year the Burj Khalifa. The Burj Khalifa is the Burj Dubai is the tallest building before opening. And I went on the year.
Oh, in Dubai, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
I went on the year the Dubai Metro launch. So I went early. I went quite early. I went there for vacation. Actually, on the best season. I went on November. November is the best season. And I like the place. I do a lot of trip visits. I like the multicultural environment. My heart is really linked to the multicultural environment.
You feel comfortable there.
I like to learn because there's different kind of cuisine, different type of people there. I also have a good listening. I can understand any kind of accent. So I feel, I will not say I feel home, but I feel I belong to a city. I feel I belong to a city. I have a peace of mind. So I decide, they say, oh, if you like here, you can maybe try to, because, French are very open, right? We say you try to find a job, maybe you have job offer because you can speak different language. Not many Asians start working here as a manager. So they just encourage me. So of course, we met some new friends there from church, different communities there. I also went to Korean church. So I spread out my resume, and I really got 2 job offer.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Yeah, it's cool, right? When I look back for now, I still think I was very courage.
Yeah.
Even for now, I might be more hesitant.
Why? Is it just because you're older now and you think that because it seems like it would be an impulse for you at the time to just do that.
Yes.
Yeah, and now you're more cautious because you're older. Yeah.
I am more mature and I have more experience. Also, my parents get older, much older than that time, right?
Right. So then when you made the decision and you got 2 job offers, what type of jobs were they?
I got 2 job offer. One is sales for Rotana Hotel. Rotana is the Arabic hotel.
Okay.
So it's the Middle East hotel chain. And because everybody wants Chinese market, want Asian market, because European led, right? So they want to open new market. I got this one. Another one is a private jet for Asian market representation. So I'm like a brand ambassador. I'm doing this for a long time anyway. And I decided to take the private jet one.
Okay, interesting. So, you must have met a lot of different people from all over then.
Yes.
Yeah. And how do you feel that your experience with that company, has it shaped a little bit about who you are right now?
I was the only person in the company can speak Chinese. And I still feel very grateful because the owner of this private jet company is the royal family of Jordan, and because the queen of Dubai is Jordanian.
Oh.
So we have a privilege to do something for the family. And I has been spoiled in some way, like the owner is a captain and is a family member of the Jordanian royal family. I has been always saying the story. He has a 17 private jet, but he has only 1 wife, even though he's very rich, you know. So I have been always telling the story, spreading out the story to many people, saying, many people will say Muslims have many wives, But I think my experience are good. They are royal, respectful for women. I was spoiled in some way as a female manager. And
Was it because you're a foreigner? Because it seems like in the Middle East, there women are not necessarily considered
to work.
Yeah, to work or to be open and things like that. So,
Yes.
I mean, did you feel like because you're Chinese, which is different, that you were allowed, or was it because of the company that you worked with, which was, more open?
Because in Dubai, there are 85% population expat are foreigners.
Okay,
Only
85%.
only 15% are local, and local they don't really have to work because they have family and government fund. Because many foreign company they want to register company there, they need to find a local partner, which means you
Right.
have to pay the sponsorship annually, so they don't have to do anything. They just have to borrow the ID for you. You just have to pay them sponsorship by annual.
That's a little bit dangerous sometimes. I know a lot of people that did that in Shanghai. They would get somebody local to register their business for them. What kind of skills do you feel like you ended up developing with your time abroad?
I think I could be very dynamic, and so efficiency and to keep the results. I'm quite result-oriented person, but I also very flexible in terms of adjusting different culture, different team members, because everybody have a different mindset, but not everybody are open on speaking out.
Yeah. These
are very. I think it would be the two top point for management's point of view. I normally encourage people to speak out their concern. Maybe not very directly because many people are very indirectly. So you need to make a big circle around.
Yeah, you have to know the different communication styles of the people that you're dealing with. Yeah.
Yeah, because in Middle East, the majority of the management came from the UK system. The education is UK system. So I think my communication skill has been upgrading a lot. British English is different, right? Yeah. They need to make a lot of circles, a beautiful description. They never say anything bad in public, right? Taiwan have a similar situation, actually, right?
I'm surprised that you would say that the British people would be that indirect, because in general, most countries in the West, they're more direct in the way that they speak or communicate, especially in business.
Yes.
So that's interesting. You were in Dubai for 6 years. Do you feel that? Did you have any challenges living and working there? What types of you're nodding your head. What types of challenges did you have?
Because we have to connect it to different community. And different community might have a different observation and also bias for you. You just have to adjust because sometimes the bias just be there always.
Yeah.
And you cannot even reduce or try to highlight something about yourself. And you just have to deal with it.
Yeah. So when you're saying bias, it wasn't more really, there were prejudice against a Chinese person.
Yeah.
Right.
Or maybe some Asians.
And Asians, yeah. And so how did you end up dealing with that?
I tend to ignore, just pretend I don't know anything.
Okay.
And pretend you don't feel it. And you just be yourself and to work professionally, something like that. For example, when I arrived the first time, and the office manager for the private jet company is Syrian. And actually, he's a very good guy, very good, very capable, very reliable guy. But he really don't know what's the difference between different Asian nations.
Yeah.
Because he never been to Asia, right? So at the time, because we are over the living allowance, as any expat provide living allowance, because they never have Asian staff before. I was the first one. So he was asking around his friends. Many of his friends has a Filipino, maybe houseman or office girl, whatever. And he didn't have any idea about China, Taiwan, Thailand, Malaysia. He has no idea at all, okay? So at the time I arrived, I was in a 4-star hotel very close to the office because they have a contract for. So they were kind of, because the office manager is another Jordanian girl, can take me to see some house for rent, and I also see different kind of house for rent. And at the beginning, they took me to a Filipino girl's house, like a bed space renting place. You know, consider it's like a 2-tier back beds. We never have this kind of
like a dorm room or something
we
like
never.
that. You have to live with somebody.
It's not possible to have this kind of room, right?
Yeah.
But they will not understand why. So I need to explain to them, saying yes, because the Filipino girls slowly they came from big family, they live many people together, they are housemates, they are not the mega managers. You know, you still have to disclose the difference. Without showing proud. It's not easy. Because I think what I learned, the good part and also the negative part from the Middle East is because many people there are trilingual, professionally trilingual. Majority people in my community working together, they can speak English, Arabic, French fluently, 3 language fluently. Do you know those people can speak multiple language? They're very smart. And it's not easy for those smart people to be humble. It's not easy, difficult. So I have been working with many people, for Asians' point of view, are very proud and arrogant. And I've been in that environment for a long time.
You had to adjust yourself and learn to communicate with a lot of different types of people, and also in different types of levels.
Yes.
What was one of the worst things of bias or prejudice did you experience in Dubai?
Okay, there was one case because it's very difficult to get the driving license there. Because if you are not like major countries, you cannot convert your driving license directly. You need to go to the local system to went to a training school. If you fail, you need to go back to a training school. I know many people get bankrupt because of getting a driving license there.
Is it that important to have a driver's license there?
Yes.
So public transportation is not
enough.
Yeah.
Especially during the summertime, it's very heat. It's not possible to go public transport only.
Oh, so then for you had to get a driver's license. So what was your situation?
I was fortunate. I got the driving license on the second test, and I have any mistake. So consider when I finish the test, I take my transcript to the counter to redeem my driving license, and they don't believe it. They think how possible an Asian woman can pass on the second time, and it's no failure at all. It's 100% pass.
So was
No
it
points.
in English? The test was in English.
Yes.
Yeah. So they couldn't understand. Okay. And then what was the situation? How
because the test is not only the paper test and also the driving test, and I just passed 100%.
Yes.
So for them it's not possible for a female.
They didn't believe you.
They don't believe. They say it's a female and it's Asian. How possible is 100%? Because how many people come here many times still not get license, right? And it was my first time I feel the big bias, the racism.
So did they ended up giving it to you?
Yes, I got it.
After you had to fight with them or something?
I didn't fight. I said, you can go to ask the examiner, because the examiner, right?
Yeah.
Please go to double check with examiner, and this is really mine.
Yeah. There's prejudice and bias and racism kind of all over the place. You know. So you were there for 6 years, and you're in Taiwan, so you decided to come back. What made you decide?
Actually, this one has been replied by different reporter before. Because on the end of my time in Dubai, I was studying my MBA online, and I was having my internship for GCC Business Council. GCC Business Council is a private club. Okay, I was representing Dubai, and my friend EB was representing Abu Dhabi. And she is originally came from Romania with a U.S. passport because her ex-husband is American. It was very fortunate. It was very unfortunate, and the news was on CNN. It was an Egyptian woman. She doesn't like American because some of them just like crazy, you know. Maybe they have bad experience. So she stayed outside American school, which because she's a single mother of 3 kids, she need to pay a lot of a fee for her kids. So she was teacher for the American school in Abu Dhabi. So the Egyptian woman was, you know, follow her from the school, went to the shopping mall, just, you know, just gone crazy, just kill her on the public washroom. I cannot accept the fact that too. Personally, she's not American actually. She's a Romanian. For us, it's very easy to recognize she's a European face. But she has a husband. Is American, but doesn't take any responsibility. Only love her a citizenship. That's why she was very unlucky to be selected by the crazy woman.
So the reporter was asking you, so you were very personally involved, and you...
No, the reporter was asking me, do you know what's going on with her? When was the latest time you met her? Don't you know she is past? Something like that at 11 p.m. And I was not aware. And she was not telling me.
Oh, so you didn't know at the time that this had happened at all?
At all.
Okay.
That's why I was shocked, and I wake up and to watch the news. And it was really crazy.
All of a sudden your face is...
Because we have many public photos together.
Yeah.
So my close friend was suggesting me at the time because I freak out, right? So my close friend told me, you should better just go home for a break, a vacation. Don't think too much. So I take a hand carry luggage with me, something very small. I cannot even focus on packing at the time because I was personally freak out, scared, misfeeling. And I was even I was thinking maybe if I got involved in some kind of thing to get her involved, something like that, because the business council I invite her to join the organization because I want to help her to get a second income, right? And the founder for the council is Americans, so I was thinking, is it relevant? Because at the time we heard the attack were focused on American and Japanese. And many people think I'm Japanese there. So this is one of the reasons my friend suggests me to, you know, just go for a break because I was overstressful.
Right. So you were really afraid for your life.
Many.
Yeah. And you were supposed to come to Taiwan for a vacation, but that you ended up just staying and not going back.
Yes. I got the job offer from a British company.
When you came back, was it easy to fit into the business community here? I know you got a job right away with the British company, but how was that being back in Taiwan?
I started the community back to Taiwan. I'm more adventurous, so I I search online to see which organization I'd like to try. So I set myself as a guest to try. So I started from Australian Chamber because I was Australian and New Zealand Chamber when I was in Middle East. So the first stop I came back, I went to Australian New Zealand Chamber. And I went to the French Chamber because my business started from French community. I also went to European Chamber. I also involved in charity event, charity organization. And I was vice president for Taipei International Women's Club for last term as well. Also, as you know, internations. The expert community based in Munich, Germany, has been working really volunteer, organizing monthly event for 12 years. But I resigned. I become a normal member now because the organization had been restructured.
When I first moved here to Taiwan and I wanted to do networking with the business community here, and I did all the different chambers. But one of the things that really surprised me was that for American Chamber, because I'm American, and I was really involved with the American Chamber of Commerce in Shanghai when I was there, that they only allowed you to attend 3 events as a non-member, and then after that you have to be a member.
It's like a Rotary Club.
It's quite restrictive.
Yeah. Rotary Club also have the same regulation.
When you opened your own business, this is after you left the British company or when you were already still working?
I do the registration in Taiwan after I left the British company. But at the time I was with the British company, the company registration in Dubai is still valid.
Okay, so it was registered in Dubai.
Yes.
So can you just tell a little bit about your company?
Graceful Lifestyle Management, we have initial GLM, was Lifeline platform. So we have 3 category as a focus. We have arts, alternative investment, and lifestyle consultant. So it's a management consultancy, has 3 values. For arts, we have antique, we have representing different overseas artists, and also like a Persian rock, like we have more focus on the niche market, more like for private clients. So majority of our customer has been considered privacy as quite essential.
Yeah.
So we have a confidential agreement for our customer. So we don't really do like a mega event, like big event. We do a small bespoke event because our business starts from private event. But we don't do much event nowadays. More like by invitation for small organization, not like a open for public event.
Right. Okay. So it's quite exclusive.
Yes.
Then. So you have products on your website that people can purchase.
Yes.
And then you also manage people that want to sell their products.
Yes.
And then when you're talking about lifestyle consultancy, what is that?
It could be including life coach because we have an NLP channel. It's a US NLP channel. It's like a life coach is able to help you to find better communication skill and also enhance your quality of life. And we have some private cases like, many professional people actually they have issue for interracial personal life.
Yes. So you do have other people that work in your company.
Yeah, by project base.
Yeah. And so, being this entrepreneur, because you were actually entrepreneur in Dubai as well during the time. But what are some of the lessons that you've learned from striking out and being your own businesswoman?
I often forget my gender. I often forget. And there are many people remind me, remember you are a woman, so don't fight with men. I said I didn't fight, but I often forget I am.
Yeah.
I also told many dreamers saying, consider being an entrepreneur could be a piper. You know, you need to fix things all the time from your house. And it's very difficult to find someone to repair your house, just like repair your business. But there are always something wrong. But you need to be enjoyable to fix the things.
Right. You need to keep a positive attitude.
Exactly. You need to fix things. But not necessarily to be perfect, but you have to enjoy the process of fixing things. And it's not easy because dreamers only have the bubble, right? But practical speaking, yes, you should always also find someone to fix for you, but sometimes the time it's limited.
Yeah.
It could be urgent. Maybe you cannot find instant support.
Yeah,
Even my
you gotta figure it out.
you need to figure out. You just have to be multitask.
Yeah.
If you have someone to help you, yes, but in many cases, many situations is not what do you think, and it's just coming up and just have to fix it.
Yeah. And you know, working for your own company is quite different. There's a lot of different challenges than working for somebody else's company.
Yes.
You know, because I've also opened a couple of companies myself, so I can imagine the challenges. And it's really basically you don't have necessarily other people to rely on. You only have to really, at the end of the day, you have to rely on yourself in terms of dealing with things.
Yeah, so you most enjoy learning new things and facing new tasks as well. Just do whatever you think you can do. Do your best. Always trying something new, right?
Yeah, so you mentioned about you forget that you're a woman in the business environment. It's important, but you know, when people are telling you that, what are they referring to?
I've been told that my character sometimes are stronger than men. That's why so they think I might be reminding myself that I'm a woman because my personality and character are strong, quite strong. Compared to Asian men especially, I'm strong, right?
Oh, so sometimes you overwhelm these Asian people that you want to do business with that are men.
Maybe.
Yeah, you know, I find that is really a situation. And it's a situation that there should be conversations about because women in business, they have to be strong. And it comes across when you're a strong woman that you're a bitch or something, but you know, whereas if a man comes out very strong and does the exactly the same thing, you know, he's doing what he should be doing. So women in business have a harder time. And are you are you the only owner? Do you have supporters and investors that?
I have a private investor by project base. Yeah, okay. So we are working for private project base.
So is the company where you imagined it to be currently?
We have different resources in each. So the platform is open. Just like we have opportunity, we always open on discussion because we have a 3 core value for any kind of project plugging into. Still based on these 3 core value, even though we are project are bespoke, right? Like a personalized. So we have a 3 core value is time management, work-life balance, and quality of life. So any project still based on these 3.
Okay, so you just mentioned work balance because you're really, really busy. I mean, networking in a business environment as a woman, is takes a lot of time. So how do you balance your work life?
Because I am a Christian, I need to have a lot of time for quiet time. So quiet time for me is a very good balance. I have to sleep 8 hours every day. So I think my quality of sleep is good.
So you actually specifically make a commitment to sleep for 8 hours a day.
8 hours. And I has been deliver a commitment for long time.
Wow,
Yeah.
amazing.
I really
I wish
deliver.
I could do that. Yeah.
Sleep is very important.
Yeah.
I also spend a lot of time with my cat. I have two cats, twin cat. They are seven and a half. I think spending time
What's
with
their
my cat.
names?
Yeah.
What's their names?
Yuan Yuan and Bei Bei.
Oh, Yuan Yuan and Bei Bei, and they're black cats, right? I saw a
Yes,
picture.
yes.
Yeah.
They have fans. My cat have fans. Many of my, because my cat are sociable. Since my cat was 1 year old, I took them to parties. So they are sociable.
Oh, so they have fans. Do you have a social media account for them? I mean, because a lot of people do that. They have their pets and they create a social media where they post all their pictures of what I did today. And they actually get quite popular.
They were on my Instagram account.
Okay.
I have a lot of Instagram content was there.
So animals are a really important part of our lives in a lot of different ways.
Yes. Very comforting.
Yeah.
And also because I live alone, I live close to my family, but I live alone. I have my own studio. So I always have to reserve quiet time for myself. I need me time.
You say you're living alone. Are you? So you're not married?
Not yet.
Not yet. But you you have somebody? Or?
Yes, I have somebody.
Yeah. Okay. So is it somebody that you've been with quite a long time?
Not very long time, but we have a child on the beginning. It's too personal, but we passed the test. It was a big task on the beginning.
Was it your test?
Both.
Or his?
Both.
Okay, great.
But different part of the task. Because she was divorced, he was divorced. During the time we met, and he divorced for 2 years. He had bad experience, but I don't push too much.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking when I was in my 20s, I don't even want to get married. I think I can be single.
Yeah.
I engaged before, but I don't feel like to get married. Sometimes you meet the right person in the right time is really important.
Yes.
Because many cases cannot go to the end just because the wrong timing or the wrong person.
Yeah.
But I don't believe there's anyone is perfect. But we try to not to become each other's burden.
Yeah.
It's enough, right?
Yeah, and I feel like it's important for each person to have their own life, Oftentimes when somebody's in a relationship, a lot of times, they just want to be with that person, want to do everything with them, and that can be, I don't know how long that lasts sometimes. But anyway, you said you guys passed the test. How many tests do you have? Is it like that you guys give yourself to just make sure that it's the right thing?
Yes. Yeah. I'm independent in the way that I give him space because I think I also pass different personal tasks in my personal growth journey.
Yeah.
So I have many younger cousins. Guys cousins. I grew up with many boys, so I really know guys, men, whatever. The step of growth need to have enough personal learning and personal experience.
Yeah.
Because a guy who is reliable, is able to be independent thinking, is able to be capable, to be a head of a family as a Christian's point of view, he must have independent thinking, and he need to really pass the task which Jesus gives to him, and he need to pass. And for example, he is able to meet many girls, for example, right? Taiwan had many girls anyway, so
Yeah.
so he need to know which kind of girl, which kind of person, and he like to commit to. I cannot force him.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
He need to make his own decision.
Right.
I also meet many guys. I also have friends, guys friends. I already have many guys friends. But I also have to identify, right? We need to set out boundary.
So if you're thinking about, possibly getting married, maybe is it, I mean, do you feel like it's the right time, or do you feel like, oh, I'm getting older, it's something that I should do, or does your family ever give you any pressures about getting married or having
No,
kids?
my family not really giving me pressure, but I think the point is he has to feel like he's ready and recover,
Yeah.
right? Because for me, I don't feel like to divorce, right? I have been enjoy my single life. I have been traveling around. I don't think I have a regret for being a single,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Because when you are going to different stage of life, I also have many family for counseling for my church ministries. I also be with many families. So I don't have a fantasy for marriage, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't have any fantasy.
Yeah,
I don't have
yeah.
any like a fantasy.
Yeah, that I have to be married or I want to be married and, I need to be married kind of thing. Yeah, that's good.
And I have been seeing so many real behind the scenes story.
Yeah, exactly.
Behind the scenes story, I have been learning a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I will become sometimes I'm too rational. Even my pastor told me, I think it's not a good idea for you to get involved too many counseling, marriage counseling classes, because you're already too rational. If you have been knowing too much, you will not like to step in.
But I feel like women kind of want to, more so than men, explore and understand a lot of these relationship issues, before. It's just like being prepared. So
I
don't
think
know.
I'm a,
it's a good thing.
I think I'm a much well prepared.
Yeah.
But I think he still have to be the lead. If the girl take the lead on the beginning, and I would say many of the marriage are unfortunate.
Well, because I feel like sometimes that some women who want to get married for a specific reason, whether it's they're being pressured or whether in their mind they have a fantasy about getting married and stuff, and the guy's not ready. But if you have that pressure on the guy, and then sometimes the guy just gives in and does it, and that is not a good reason to get married.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you have any thinking about having children? If you guys do get together and get married, is that something like one of the things that you think about that's important?
I will not have any idea. If I get pregnant, I will just have baby. If
Yeah.
I am not, I'm not. If we get married, if we agree to not to do the birth control in the beginning, I'm okay too.
Yeah, yeah.
As long as we have a mutual understanding.
Understanding, right. Yeah, well, it's the same for me. It's like I didn't necessarily feel like I had to have kids. If it happened, it did. And it didn't. So that was okay too,
Yeah.
So, I just, with all the experiences and the things that we talked about, I just wanted to ask you about your wow, which I always say it's your word of wisdom. Do you feel like in your life so far, in terms of what you've learned and what you have gone through, your experiences, that you have something special that you would like to share with the audience in terms of?
I think you have to take the chance to try, to take opportunities, because sometimes opportunity comes and you don't try and it's gone forever.
Yeah.
So I would rather to try rather than get the regret.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
I have many cases like this. So it's just like investment, like we need to take a project, this project to take or not. sometimes you take the project, but the project was not went through well. Maybe fail on the end. But I think the regrets of being failed still better than not trying.
Yeah, because you never know from the beginning if you're going to fail or not. But if you never even take the chance to see if you can succeed, yeah, the regret might be there.
Because each process is a learning, not only the result.
Thank you for sharing your time with us, Sandra, and sharing your experiences. And it's just amazing, you know, the different journeys that people go on. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Old Asian Lady, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.